Sandy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the ADK Rock and Metal channel, and today we're going to be checking out a band called Unprocessed, and the song is Blackbone. It's a band that neither me or Andy have heard of, but you have. They were one of the opening bands at Tesseract, I believe.
Yeah, a week ago I saw them open for Tesseract and they were phenomenal. So I just thought I need to introduce this music to you.
So there we go, that's the reason why we're checking it out today. We will be pausing it, we'll be stopping and chatting as we go. So let's go check out Unprocessed and Blackbone. Okay, I thought it was a good point to stop there. We've had about a minute and a bit. We've kind of gone into what is meant to be a heavy section, from what I can gather. We'll come to you in a second, because you know this band, or you've covered this band. So first impressions from you, Andy, on this?
Lift music. Like the opening passage. I mean,
Okay, yeah,
Music.
yeah. Music.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
What my first task was to count the number of strings on that guy's guitar, and then I thought, this, you know, my initial thought was our friend Alec Barter. You know, the style that he was playing, not quite fingerstyle, but very accomplished musician, this chap, obviously. And then he started singing as well, which was quite incredible. He's playing this. Kirk, you'll tell the style and what he's actually doing, but he's very technical guitar playing on an 8-string guitar. He starts playing, and then he's got a colleague doing something very similar. But again, it's not. It's representing the music the band's playing. It's not showmanship. It's not tapping on the neck just for effect and visuals. But whatever they were doing in that initial period did sound kind of sort of smooth jazz, lift music kind of thing. And I thought,
Very jazz.
if this is the content of the song, the drums not doing very much at all. And then the camera pans over to the bass player, and he's obviously replicating the guitar sort of rhythm as well with what he's playing. And as you said, Dave, we're moving into the sort of heavier section, so we'll see how the song and the sort of playing progresses.
It's a real interesting sort of starting off with. There's a few sort of Polyphia would be another one that kind of comes to mind. Temic maybe as well would be another kind of band. See, I know all this progressive gent stuff. Yeah. Got it. Hey, I've been sort of searching for it. Then who else is there? Yeah. Four fans of, yes, definitely. But yeah, it starts off. I like the saying of like elevator music, although I probably wouldn't. It would quite happily go in the elevator music, that sort of thing. But I really liked where it was going. It's actually, if you listen to it, it's just a very simple chord progression, and they're just playing within the chords. There's not a huge amount going on in those, but it sounds great because they're all playing counter melodies to each other, which is what works really well. Great, nice, clean, very delicate vocal delivery from him. Then it kind of does the big jump in the air, mistimes his jump, lands before the kick in. So I was like, editor, who's the video editor? Sort that shit out, come on.
Can we do that again, please?
Yeah, come on, freeze frame him, or just time his jumping a little bit better for you. So he lands when it kicks in. But what's weird is when it kicks in, I'm like, they're all headbanging and stuff. I'm like, but there's no heavy guitar at this. I'm listening to it going, that's not weighty guitar at all. There's not really a lot of distortion in that tone. They all got and it's like down. It's more bass than anything. It's more
bass was overpowering on that first few seconds of this second section, wasn't it?
But even now, so he's coming in with the aggressive vocals, but I'm still not hearing the counterpart of the guitar, which makes it. You know where you sometimes see it, where someone takes another song and overplays it a video of another band.
Yeah.
And
Mash up.
You know, like you see, remember the cyberpunk things where there was the kid. Have you seen that bit where the kids start to dance, the old cyber goths that dance, and they do it over the Thomas the Tank Engine music? This is the same sort of thing where the video looks like
there's a hardcore band.
Yeah,
and they put that fits in with any other. You know, there's a whole Facebook page. What's the band called? There's a sort of classic hardcore spin kick. Running Man. So they're putting this hardcore.
What, the film, The Running Man?
No, it's the
dance song. So the vocalist is doing this Running Man style, but they overplay any song that fits the rhythm, and it works.
And this is where this is kind of. I'm listening to the music, and then I'm watching the video, and I'm like, this video almost feels like the way that they're putting the aggression in their playing is not what I'm hearing.
I see.
So they're all going full on headbanging, and I'm like, that's not what I'm getting out.
I think we paused it just before the riff gets into the groove, though, didn't we?
He should have. He's had 4 bars of that riff, and now he's starting the vocal part of it. So he's transitioned it into the vocal part, but the riff's the same. Anyway, let's keep going. You don't get to say much because you know this band.
Well, no, I will just say, when I first heard that melody...
Yeah, can't stop it.
One more point.
We're going to get a gag ball on
it. It reminded me of John Frusciante of the Red Hot Chili Peppers on that classic 1992 album. But what's interesting, there's absolutely no blues in this music. Whereas obviously there is when you listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, there's funk, there's blues. I don't actually hear that much jazz in this. It's really hard to describe it. Right, Polyphia, Tim Henson, they're friends. Manuel Gardner, the singer and virtuoso guitar player. The other thing as well, which you'll see later on, he plays some of his guitar using slap bass technique, which I've just never seen before. So look out for that. But I just think it's so catchy, that melody. You're right, taking the chords, but the technicality of those fills in between. I mean, you've even got sweep picking in clean mode. That is just insane.
Clean mode, actually.
That anybody wouldn't even try to do that on a guitar. So straight away, that's what got my attention.
Okay. Keep going. Okay, so it gives us a bit of a chance. We've had kind of verses, verse structure, chorus. We've got that weight now. We were just saying while the video was playing that we think it's because of the fact they're in such a low tuning that you're losing that guitar, what we call that raspy guitar tone, because you're playing down on an H string. He's playing in the same key as the bass. All that is, it's just sounding like a big bass, distorted bass tone.
Deliberate, obviously, yeah.
Which I always thought with bands like these, where you had, unless you're doing certain like pump, like trying to push something through, or a certain, you just want to power sort of a big chord or something like that, you tend to find the guitars were much higher, and then when the guitars went down and started playing those low ends, the bass started playing higher melodies. You always try to work within the frequencies, whereas in a lot of cases here, we've got, because you've got 2 guitarists, one guitarist and bass are basically filling the same frequencies, so we're getting this really bassy, muddy tone.
Yeah,
I'm not hearing as much clarity in it. There are points where
there's no crunch to it, is there?
There's no crunch guitar, but then it feels kind of. It's like someone's got the keyboard out with all the guitar notes, and they've just gone like that. across it at points because it feels like it's gone a bit nuts at points. There's no restraint. Now I know in a lot of playing in this sort of style of music, especially with the prog rock and prog metal, it's not about restraint. It's about exploration and about going off down these sort of tangents and vibes and looks. But as a drummer and groove drummer who really likes to kind of find a pocket and get into it, I'm struggling a little bit with this. Technicality wise, it's really good, but from a song listening point of view, I'm struggling definitely with it. I don't know about you, Andy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is very bassy, and you can see that they are playing some very technical sort of guitar parts, but they're not coming through very well, apart from the occasional sort of pinch note or squeal note or whatever. So it's almost like, especially when the vocals were in as well, it was even more sort of buried.
Guttural.
The sort of drummer is kind of the most sort of, what's the word, accessible part of the whole song. He's sort of playing a pretty standard beat. He's not sort of being too over technical, but you know, you can't knock what these guys are playing and their skills and everything. Kirk, something you mentioned, I think it may have been off cam. You said that, I didn't notice it, but he was doing sweep picking with a clean tone, and you said how extraordinary that was. Is that because there's no room to hide?
Yeah,
you got to hit every one.
If you hit a dead note,
yeah, you're going to hear it more so if it's in you know, distorted tone or something. So
yeah,
I mean, that just sort of proves he's got. Was it the vocals?
Manuel Gardner. Yeah. See, with this, it's interesting you mentioned the guitar tone. The first album I'd heard that used this guitar tone is that 2016 Tesseract album, Polaris. Clearly, they're an influence. I would say Periphery, Tesseract, and Polyphia you can hear in this music.
Yeah.
But I've been listening to this album all week, and it doesn't really sound like anyone, and that's an incredible achievement. That you're right, it's deliberate. It does sound quite muddy, doesn't it? Like a distorted bass at times, and that's so unusual because he wants it to sound like that. I know that everybody wants to try and write original music or have their own unique identity. Nothing's truly original. But when I heard this and the fact that they've structured
not original.
Nothing's 100% original, is it?
I know, but you said they're influenced by the bands you mentioned. But
yeah.
I mean,
they don't
we're not saturated with bands like that, are they?
No,
because it's not.
How many people
accessible.
can play this?
Yeah, not many people. There's not how many people can play this?
Yeah,
and it's not aimed at a wide-reaching audience, is it?
I don't know, because
it's a niche market. You've got to have a certain sort of.
But you know, you said you could play this in a lift. I could show this to my niece. She could whistle that melody. So I think they've taken the embroidery of pop music and then deliberately put tech metal on top of it, which is just such an ambitious thing to do.
The reason why that melody stands out is because it's the melody from the film Romancing the Stone.
the Michael Douglas 1984.
Really?
Go to the outro of that where the boat comes along and she comes up and drops the things and climbs the boat. That's exactly the melody from the film. So there you go. Sorry, guys. It's
Romancing the Stone.
You've just basically ripped the riff from Romancing the Stone film. But
before we move on, what do you think of the video? I mean, I like this format with the camera panning round and sort of focusing on each member and they're in a circle. But what is that thing in the middle?
It's a black bone with light coming out of it. That's my assumption.
It looks like something made out of crepe paper. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't look good enough for this video to me.
To me, it's the light. They needed light in the middle of they wanted something to break up the middle.
Yeah, have the light in the light from the middle. That looks good, but have it coming out something a bit more.
Did you notice
abstract or
just keep an eye out? Do you know the drum riser, Manuel Gardner? Because it's black in between his black trousers, it looks like he's wearing a smock. When I first watched, I was like, why is he wearing a smock? It's not. It's just the drum riser.
Okay.
Well, just look out for it. It looks like a smock, ankle length. Just because of the way I'm going to
save my overall opinion of the video right to the end, I think. And just see
the man who can critique it. I'm useless at critiquing videos.
Let's go to the end.
Yeah.
You demonize me.
Okay, there we go. Unprocessed and Blackbone. So we've obviously talked a lot about the video and the song throughout. So we're just going to do our final kind of summaries. We'll finish up with you, Kirk. So kick over to Andy first. Overall thoughts?
I think I said off camera, it may well be that this sort of music isn't accessible to everybody, and it's certainly not accessible to me. Yeah, you can't not admire everyone's musicianship and their skills and their talent. I think I would enjoy it a lot more if the guitars were more crunchy. That's the word we use, isn't it? Sort of fuller in the mix, but maybe that's not this style of music. But the best part for me was that final section we just watched, where it kind of really sort of heavier breakdown kind of thing. Again, the bass was the prominent instrument, or whether it's the bass notes the guitarist are playing, I'm not sure. Solo was incredible, but yeah, it's not anything that I'm ever going to sort of listen to again, or a style of music I'm going to check out even for sort of, just a change of direction. It just hasn't grabbed me. Any of the bands you've mentioned, Kirk, we've covered some of them. I've heard snippets of Tesseract. We've done a Tesseract video, haven't we?
Yeah.
Periphery we've talked about many times, but is this genre? Is this mathcore?
I would just call it prog metal. Yeah. Even prog. Do you know, you could even call that prog rock, although no rock band
prog gen.
Yeah, the talent is I'm not in question, but it's just not catchy and accessible enough for me to think, I'm listening to this band, I'm listening to this style. But I mean, I enjoyed watching that. I probably would have enjoyed it sort of start to finish a little bit more. I mean, the video, I quite like the video. Dave will pick out some of the points that we spotted towards the end, but as a sort of style of video, I would enjoy watching more of that kind of style of video. I would employ that for anything I'm involved in. But as for the music, just not for me.
Okay. So it was weird because we both talked about distortion guitars and you can't not coming through, and then I sort of thought about it and went, well, if they did come through, then it just sound like every other band. So the idea of saying that it needed to have more distortion is you're trying to change what. There are people that are absolutely going to love this sort of sound, and if you put the heavy guitars and you made it more distorted and clarity on the guitars, then it wouldn't sound like this, and they're not going to enjoy it. So there is definitely, it's a market for the people. So for a certain group of people, again, I'm probably the same as you. I'm not when their variety of heavy sounds came through, it just didn't work for me. It just wasn't giving me that raw power. You mentioned like the Sugar. I get more of that from the Sugar than I do from here, because again, it's more prog in this sense. I would have actually liked this song without the heavy vocals, if it was clean vocals, and if you kept the clean tone from the beginning the whole way through. I know you said elevator start. It would have become more like a prog rock.
It would have been Polyphia with vocals.
Yeah, and I'd have been like, do you know what? I could have vibed on that. I could have just been completely chill. And I do like Polyphia. So there are points where I can quite happily listen to some prog. It's where, when we talk about listening to stuff on streaming versus sit down and listen to an album. So the last time I properly listened to an album from start to finish, just like didn't have something else, I wasn't doing editing in the background or something like that, was Sol Negra. And I really enjoyed that because it took me on a journey. Now, prog bands is definitely the way that I would listen to it. You can't just go whack a bit of prog on while I'm doing the washing up or whatever and enjoy it. You can't do that. You can do that with Maiden or something like that. You can really just rock out with it and not have to think too much about it. But this is definitely a thinking man's band in a way. You really want to go down it. Technicality, really, really good. Video-wise, don't get it. Don't see the point in it. It's a warehouse they've hired. They put 4 lights around the back, a light in the middle. I don't get what it means apart from it's black. Was the middle bit a bone? I don't know. I don't get how that video relates to the song title. They could have shot any video and it would have made as much sense as that video made to me. It's a performance-based video and I get that, but then if you're going to do it, you need to do it there. During 2020, through to 2021, bands were just doing home performance videos. They could have easily just shot a video of them all playing in their own home studios and it would work just as well to me because the video has no rewatch value. Song's good, but the video has no real rewatch apart from the technicality.
Yeah,
and that could have been done in any other location with close-ups and stuff like that. So that's why I'm like, a video can be fine, and you can look at it and go, well, it's really nice that they go round and they follow the band, and the lighting was pretty good on it. You're like, you've spent money on it, and the whole idea with these videos is to get rewatch. If it's just to watch, listen to it once, because otherwise people listening go, right, great, and now I'll listen to it on Spotify. I've got no reason to go back to that.
We said as well there was light stands and bits and pieces sort of on the wall of the warehouse and sort of left there. Do you think that was done for effect, or just lazy so they couldn't be able to clear it out of the way? Or the fact that there was a circular shot, they've got to go somewhere so you can see them wherever they were?
The only way around that is you have to have the lights in camera, and you have to all switch out the contrast. So you switch out the contrast in your overall exposure, and what that does is it takes all those slightly darkened areas and make it even darker so you couldn't see the stands.
But see, I wouldn't have a problem with that. The fact that there's sort of bits and pieces left around in this warehouse where you're performing and shooting your music video, I think that kind of works.
Which in the case of Ginger, where they did it in a 6-day rollover, which is in a fully functioning warehouse, that was actually quite interesting, because we actually got the rewatch value was to go and look at this warehouse and try and work out what the hell was going on. And was this a hired warehouse? Was this a functional warehouse? Why did they use that one? There is a rewatchability to it. It's just a case of this. There might be a reason behind the whole setup, and especially the lights in the middle, but this is lazy filmmaking to me. This is, we need a video. We have no idea what video to shoot, so the easiest one to do is get a warehouse room and shoot us all together in the warehouse, and let's do it.
We've only got half a day as well, so let's get it done.
Let's get it done.
Yeah.
We need a proper video. I prefer this to a visualizer. If someone gives me a visualizer, they can fuck right off. I'm not watching it. And even then, you're going to get marked down. Your maximum out of 10 you're getting is a 5. I don't care how fucking good your song is. If you give me a visualizer, you can fuck right off. I fucking hate bands that do that. No, I'll still telescribe with a visualizer now. I'll be like, fuck off! Twat! And lyric videos, again. Lyric videos have a purpose, I guess. They can be done pretty well. So sometimes a lyric video can actually work quite well in your favour. But, don't do a visualizer, guys. Right, let you wrap this one up.
Yeah, so just to, can you see it says Initiative Music? So they've actually got funding from the Federal German Republic Culture for Media and Arts. So they're a German band. I'm surprised you didn't think that breakdown was heavy. To me, it reminds me, that scene in RoboCop where that original cyborg, they do a demonstration of its efficacy and it ends up murdering 3 people in the boardroom, doesn't it? Because they can't control it.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Ed 209.
Yeah, Ed
209's heavy.
It reminds me of like the last rounds of Ed 209, like sputtering when he's still firing the automatic weapon. So that really blew me away. The one thing at times when you listen to it's like, do you need a bass player if your guitar is replicating that sound?
No.
But actually, I've been listening to the album on the way here, and you can hear the bass all the way throughout. So they do. I think it's just deliberate, isn't it, that they want that guitar tone. You're right. If they'd have just made that crunchy and turned up, the high treble settings, it would have just sounded like any other gent band. So I completely understand why they're doing it. And Andy, you said that this is inaccessible. I think what caught me by surprise was how accessible this is. But yeah, can you imagine being in a lift and then that breakdown comes in? You'd be wanting to get out of the fucking lift, wouldn't you? So I like the dynamic extremes in it. I just think the melody is of such an advanced level that there's so few bands who can do this. And we have that genre, don't we? Melodic death metal, which is basically just Iron Maiden playing death, isn't it? This is a new level of melody. And I keep referring back to that Red Hot Chili Peppers album, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, which is a classic of the rock genre, certainly the alternative rock genre. It's one of the few albums I've heard where I'm thinking this is a 21st century John Frusciante, but there's no blues in it, and doing those incredible scale runs. I think they do like putting the fills in there, like you said, they play within the chords, but they're thinking, well, we are a prog tech metal band, so we're just gonna, there is a bit of extravagance in there. And this really is a musician's band as well, but I think they're trying to come out of that stereotype. Manuel Gardner Fernandez has given an interview saying how he needs to move beyond Instagram. This could be what a modern band looks like. If they were to sign a record deal, they'd be giving up a lot of money. Because think of the merch. If he's got 300,000 followers on Instagram and a YouTube following, think of if he signed with a record label, they'd be wanting to take a percentage of that. They are big enough. They are big enough now where it's not in their interest to ever sign a record deal.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you could see. as a pathway to success if you make it on social media first, which is very difficult, and then you can promote your art that way. So this could be an interesting test case of what the modern band can be without engaging in the traditional forms of the music industry.
And you've seen it with others. Was it Sophie Lloyd? She was a guitarist that started out predominantly on YouTube.
Yeah.
And now obviously big. And it is and it's weird. I was actually chatting to some guys about bands as a whole, and they were still talking around. I keep going on about, as a band, you need to promote your social medias first. There is absolutely no point booking gigs if you have no interest. If you have zero presence or very minimal presence on the social media worlds, or on any of the media, whether it's TikTok, which I hate, but you've got to kind of do it now, Instagram, etc. Yeah. But if you've got no videos out of anything like that, then what is the point of going and playing gigs? Because they're still in that mindset of the 80s and 90s, where you go out and you play all the rock bars, the venues, and you build a crowd following because there's always a packed house. When was the last time you went to a gig and it was absolutely like an unknown band and it was packed? That just hardly ever happens. You might occasionally, but generally, you get maybe 20 or 30 people through the door plus the bands, and that's what you're trying to build your following on. You're like, 20 or 30 people, you can get 20 or 30 people in an hour online. May not be local to you, but you build your following and word of mouth and you spread, etc. And that makes a lot more sense doing it this way, where people can get their following, build it up, and then you bring your band out afterwards, and then that becomes.
It's like Nick Nocturnal, who's probably the biggest name, isn't he, in the online metal community. I've followed him for years, and he's the same. He doesn't need to sign to a record label for any of his projects because he's been giving up so much money. Because he's got to that stage. Very few bands will be able to do it. But it'd be interesting to follow these to see if they're still needing funding from the German government, aren't they?
Right.
But I wonder if they can become self-sufficient on the next record. They've toured the world a couple of times already, so they're obviously doing something right.
Exactly right. Well, there you go, Unprocessed and Blackbone. Now, if you enjoyed our video today, please do like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.